Right, good morning. I feel a bit tired this morning. It's 6:30, just past 6:30 in the morning, but I couldn't sleep, so I thought, well, I'll get up and do some work. So what I'm looking at here on my computer screen is a Kinetico quick troubleshooter. So I'm going to go through 19 things that you can. I'm going to read out the heading and give you what the possible problem is. So it's a way of narrowing it down a little bit, and there's obviously quite a few things that can go wrong. 19 here, but there could be more. So the first one is the water disc is not turning. So let me just check, make sure the camera's working. Oh yeah, the camera is working still. So the water meter disc is not turning. Possible causes: non-conforming meter drive pawl. So there are a lot of parts on the market that are not genuine Kinetico, and some of them are very poor. So the pawl may not meet the requirement. So the meter drive spring installed incorrectly. So improper installation can hinder the disc's movement. So missing back pawl, so that can be a problem as well. This component is essential. And obviously look for physical damage on the pawls to see whether they're not rounded off and the edges are not defined. So that's the first one. So the unit will not go into automatic regeneration. In other words, it doesn't get to the point where it will actually regenerate. So you can check a few things here, but one of the things is the water meter disc is not turning. Now, if you know, you will know what the meter disc is. It's got there's teeth on it. Check the teeth on that, and obviously mechanical failure there is the problem. So damaged teeth on the control disc, worn or broken teeth will hinder the movement. So that's another one. So that's number 2. Number 3, no vacuum in brine position. So obviously when it needs to take in the brine, the software gets to the sequence where it's taken and there's a vacuum. So this is interesting because it can be missing or malfunctioning check stems. And the check stems are the 2 yellow stems, or on the older models it's the 2 little circular balls that are in there. If they're missing or they're worn, then you will lose the suction. So the other thing is a blocked venturi. The venturi is the very small blue aperture that needs to be checked. We show how to do all this, by the way, in the videos, how to check for all this stuff. So this can also be a plugged backwash flow control. So you need to check that as well. And a plugged brine elbow screen. So there's a screen in one of the elbows on the brine elbow. If it's blocked, then that will also cause a problem. So that's number 3. So short salting. This is a brine drum is not level. So an uneven drum can cause incorrect water levels above the grid. So you need to check that, or else you'll have this problem. So the level of the brine drum. So make sure it's level. Adjust it to ensure even salt dissolution. So that's number 4. Number 5, bridged salt in the brine drum. So this salt has solidified. You'll probably know about this if you've had a softener. If you've got solid salt, it's solidified, you can end up with a problem with that as well. So you get these different channels, water channels. So that will. So you have to break up the salt, take the salt out, probably clean it all out and just put new salt in. It's probably easier. So the other thing, you obviously, number 6, another thing which is sometimes people forget to do, they do a bit of maintenance on their softener and they it's not working, they're not getting soft water, and they've overlooked the most important thing, they've got the bypass open. So the bypass is open and they've got hard water through the system and they've forgotten to check that, and they think they go through everything except that one thing. So that's another little thing to consider. The other thing that can cause another problem is the actual mechanical valves on the bypass. Over time, if they've been used a little bit for maintenance, over time they can leak water through bypassing the softener, and that's another thing that people forget. They forget to check that, and they assume that the taps are going to work forever, and it's like any tap, if it's being used mechanically, then it's good to check that as well. So replace the bypass. Okay, so that's number 7. So the brine drum does not refill or it overfills. It won't fill or it overfills. So the brine valve is incorrectly set, so that may need adjusting. The brine drum is dirty, debris is affecting the operation, so sometimes it's best to take the valve apart, completely clean it and make sure it's perfect. Again, it can also be the venturi nozzle is plugged again, the little small one, which we show you how to check that by looking at putting it up to the light and checking it. So that is a problem. So again, the brine elbow could be blocked, so there is a screen in there and a little gauze, and sometimes that can get blocked as well. So those things you need to check for. That's number 8. Number 9, frequent regeneration. So it's regenerating all the time. So you've got high water usage, you can tell it's doing it if you've got that. So the actual consumption is higher than you imagine it to be. I mean, incorrect meter disc, obviously, if you've got the meter disc that actually regenerates it quicker, obviously that's going to affect it. So you need to change that if you have the wrong one in there. And then basically another thing is to make sure it is all clean. So inside the softener, obviously all of it needs to be clean. You don't want things impeding the performance of the component. So that is quite essential, really. Cleanliness is next to godliness in this case. So that's number 9. High salt consumption. So that's usually to do with the previous one, and that is frequent regeneration. They shouldn't use that much salt. I mean, obviously, if it's a house, you should be getting away with, I don't know, if you're installing the solid blocks and you've got 2 of them. In the UK, most of them have 2 solid blocks about this high. You're probably looking at a household. You're probably looking at no more than 2 a month. Could be 2 blocks a month. That would be safe for an average household. But it's not over the top. You shouldn't be putting in like 4 or 5 sets a month, because that's crazy. Again, it's all down to your consumption, but again, you need to calculate that. So salty treated water, that's something we often get. Why is the water salty? So this can be a few things. Restricted drain line, so it's not draining all the water, it's not flushing everything out of the resin. So there's kinks or clogged lines, so pipes can be blocked. Low water pressure, you need a good water pressure for the system to work properly. All Kineticos need a good water pressure. So the inefficient pressure affects the backwash efficiency. So plugged backwash flow control, that can also do it. Too long pipe work. So if the pipe work is too long, excessive lengths or heights causes back pressure. So that can also be a thing. So it's an installation problem sometimes. So plugged upper distributors, not really applicable to high efficiency softeners. So, and also an accumulation of debris. So That's salty treated water, that's number 11. Number 12, iron bleed through. So this is another thing where there's iron problems in the system. So existing iron build-up in your plumbing system, so it can be an existing thing, already there before the socket is put in. Incorrect water disc setting. Raw water conditions have changed. So in other words, your water supply can change. A lot of people, when they get their water, we ask them sometimes, where's your water coming from? And it's coming from a well. Well, again, sometimes the condition of the water in the well can change how the softener actually works. So that's another thing. Presence of ferric iron. Ferric iron isn't removed by an ion exchange. So you need to check for ferric iron in the water anyway. Galvanized pressure tank can create oxidized iron, so that can also be a problem. The actual installation, your house installation, can also cause a problem. So that's number 12. Number 13, pressure loss. So you have a pressure loss. You've got reduced inlet pressure. It can be due to the actual environmental water going into your house. In other words, wherever you're getting it from, the pressure could have gone down. These are obvious things, but a lot of people overlook them. If you've got a purifier prior to the softener, then you need to check the pre-filter on that, because that can sometimes cause a problem as well. So you need to replace the pre-filter and clean everything again. That's another problem. Pressure loss can be a cleanliness thing. So that's number 13. Water run into drain. This is another one. Now this one is very, very common, because one of the main things with this one is the balance piston O-ring is not seated properly. And I'll just go and get one so I can show you what it is. Sorry, I've gone away from the... I forgot about this one. I was going to show you. It's easy to find out what a balance piston O-ring is anyway. But there's two. One's a red one, one's a silicon one, one's a nitrile one, but they're both the same size. But this fits down in the gap between the balance piston itself and the control disc. So that goes down in there. Now if that is dislodged and that's up, that rises up and it's floating at the top of the balance piston, what happens is water from the pressure goes back down through the spindle and back into the system, and it causes water to run to the drain. So that's the biggest problem with water running to the drain. It's the balance piston seal is not seated. So the balance piston O-ring not seated causes leakage to the drain. A damaged control disc. So again, the control disc needs to be perfect. There's a crack in it, water will run to the drain. Or even scoring of that disc will allow water to leak to the drain. So drain or control valve seals not seated. So the drain valves or the drain or the control valves, this is these seals. It's these seals, or these ones. These are quad rings. This is a tapered seal. Those need to be perfect or water will run to drain. Again, foreign matter prevents proper sealing. So obviously if you've got something like that, it fits on the taper. If you've got all gunk around there, then it can still run to the drain and water just will run. Low water pressure, again, you need a decent water pressure for everything to work properly. So all the seals need to be moved. They all move under pressure, so they need to be perfect. Faulty quad rings which is what I've said. So damaged or worn quad rings cause leaks. So you need to correct those things. That's number 14. So 15, taste, colour and odour issues. The possible causes. So metallic or iron taste, so you need to go back to the iron bleed through issue section, which we've just gone through. Chlorine odour or taste, that's heavily chlorinated water, and that does happen. So sometimes suppliers will make a mistake and they will suddenly have, extra chlorine in the water, an error or something like that, and that can also be a problem. So don't all just assume it's your softener. So it can be environmental issues like that from the creators or your suppliers. Salty taste, high total dissolved solids. So in other words, you've got too much salt in the system. So that sounds crazy because it shouldn't happen, but it can happen. For whatever reason, sometimes that does happen. So you could have a spell where the water is very salty, and it just depends on how the softener is dealing with that at that particular time. So it could just later on be flushed again a few times, and then it will correct itself. But that does happen, and then people think, "Oh no, my softener's gone wrong," but it's not. It's a temporary thing. Yellow tint in the water. That's a presence of tannins. So discoloured water. There's thousands of reasons why it can be that, but it can often be something that has nothing to do with you or your softener, something else. So odour in hot water, reaction with magnesium rod in water heater. So sometimes you can get that. However you heat your water can also be a problem. So it can be anything other than the softener. So you can have all those problems as well. There's a lot of things to consider. So that's number 15. 16, leaks. Well, obviously leaks. You need to try and find out what's causing these problems. But if you've got leaks on your softener, then obviously that can be the level seals, just leaking water to the outside. It can be all the problems you mentioned previously where the water is leaking through taps, bypasses. You need to keep on top of that. And sometimes you have a surge of excess water pressure. That is another big issue, because sometimes the suppliers, for whatever reason, don't tell their customers, and they may decide to put a different pump in or something, or for whatever reason flush something through. I don't know. I don't know what they do mainly, but I do know that sometimes they do cause the problem, and then you think it's something to do what you've got. So something to bear in mind. So leaks, obviously, tighten screws, replace seals, replace damaged parts. If you got high pressure suddenly from your supplier, there's a reason why it's gone high. You could phone them. Oh, why is it? Oh yeah, it's gone a little bit. You might need to fit a pressure reducing valve on a system. They're very cheap. It basically just goes in line on the main supply, and it will reduce it. You can adjust it. Most of them are adjustable, so you should be okay with that. So noises. So the whole thing makes a noise. Often I do it in my own house with my Kinetico. Sometimes I'm listening, I can hear a funny noise, sort of a strange one. So I listen to it, and I can hear it going through a cycle, regenerating or something, or doing a flush through, and there might be a noise that I hadn't really heard before. So it's a squealing noise. It can be a control disc not flat, so that's a major one, causing valve flutter, gurgling, hissing or bubbling sounds, trapped air or leaks in the plumbing. All that can go on randomly at any time. So again, check those things, and don't all those things so far. You don't always know whether it's the problem in your system or it's outside caused it. Very difficult. So the Kinetico sticks in a cycle, won't move from a cycle. So it sticks in generation, regeneration or backwash. So it's plugged flow paths, faulty pawl or disc, worn pinion, low pressure or plugged bed, sticks in service cycle, broken or missing regeneration start pawl or damaged control disc. So these things need to be checked to find out the reason. So, you know, sometimes on the gearing, it can sometimes be a problem on the gearing. It can sometimes be a problem on the disc. The teeth are slightly missing, and that will cause a problem. Sometimes the paw sets are worn, but you can't see they're worn, and it will get to a point when they're on the cams, when they're being moved on the cams from the impellers underneath the actual flow control. Sometimes when they're turning, you can see them catch the disc and it moves a little bit, and then the next time it goes round it doesn't move the disc at all. So it starts off very temperamental until it finally does wear the edge completely off. So you sometimes are better off just changing the pawl set, and that will do it. But change all of it, you know, that's the way. So the control disc stays in the service position is the last little one. That's a sheared clutch pins in the control disc. So that needs checking. Just replace the clutch pins, and it's as simple as that. And those 19 things I've gone over are usually the things to check first, unless you can see something more obvious to start with. I would recommend you follow that little plan. And we do have a sheet for this. I'm just trying to think where it is now. I think it might be on our website, and I think you can download this for free. I think it's there. I can check. As of today, which is the 15th of February, I'll make sure it is there today. I'll upload it and I'll put it there, because this video is being done today, 15th of February 2025. So what I'm going to do is I'll put this on there too, you know, and you can just download it. It's as simple as that. So there it is. So for today, that's it, I think. Hope you're all well, and I hope that might help you just find what it may be. Just find what it, so you can have a direction. So I think that's it. Okay, thank you for listening.